February 19th, 1996. Earl's Court Arena, London. The BRIT Awards, Britain's biggest music awards ceremony. Cameras rolling, thousands of people in the audience, millions watching on television. Michael Hutchence walks onto the stage. He's there to present the award for Best Video. The winner, Oasis, for their massive hit Wonderwall. Noel Gallagher walks up to accept the award. Liam Gallagher follows behind him. The crowd applauds. Michael hands the award to Noel. They shake hands. Standard award ceremony stuff. Then Noel Gallagher leans into the microphone. And what he says next stuns everyone in the room. Has-beens shouldn't present awards to gonna-bees. The cameras catch it all. Michael's face freezing mid-smile. The awkward laughter from the crowd. Liam standing there grinning like he knows exactly what his brother just did. It was one of the most brutal public insults in music history, and it happened on live television in front of millions of people. This is the story of that moment. Why Noel Gallagher said it, how Michael Hutchence responded, and what happened to both of them in the month that followed. To understand why Noel's comment landed so hard, you need to understand where both artists were in their careers in February 1996. Oasis was the biggest band in Britain, maybe the biggest band in the world. Their second album, What's the Story, Morning Glory, had been released 4 months earlier in October 1995. It was selling millions. Wonderwall had become a cultural phenomenon. Don't Look Back in Anger was another massive hit. Noel and Liam Gallagher were everywhere. Magazine covers, television interviews, award shows. They were brash, confident, and unapologetic. They talked trash about other bands constantly. It was part of their appeal. They said what everyone was thinking but was too polite to say out loud. INXS, on the other hand, was in a very different place. Michael Hutchence and INXS had been global superstars from 1987 to 1991. Kick had sold 10 million copies. They'd won 5 MTV Video Music Awards in one night in 1988. Need You Tonight hit #1 in America. They'd headlined Wembley Stadium. They were untouchable. But by 1996, things had changed. Grunge had killed hair metal and slick 80s rock. Alternative music ruled. Bands like Nirvana, Pearl Jam, and Radiohead were what young people listened to. INXS's polished pop rock sound felt dated. Their 1993 album, Full Moon, Dirty Hearts, had underperformed. The band had taken a break. Michael had been focusing on his relationship with Paula Yates and dealing with the aftermath of his 1992 brain injury in Copenhagen. INXS was still famous, still respected, but they weren't dominating the charts anymore. And in the brutal world of rock and roll, if you're not on top, you're fading. Noel Gallagher knew this, and when he walked onto that BRIT Awards stage to accept the award for Wonderwall, he decided to make a point. The exact moment is captured on video. You can watch it on YouTube. Michael Hutchence stands there in his suit, holding the award. Noel approaches with Liam behind him. Michael hands Noel the award. They shake hands. Then Noel grabs the microphone and says, "Has-beens shouldn't present awards to gonna-bees." Michael's smile drops. He wasn't expecting it. The insult registers on his face for just a second before he recovers his composure. But the cameras caught it. Everyone saw it. The crowd reacts with awkward laughter. Some people cheer, Oasis fans probably. Others look uncomfortable. This wasn't playful banter. This was a deliberate insult. Liam Gallagher stands next to Noel, grinning. He's loving it. He thrives on chaos. Michael Hutchence doesn't respond. He's a presenter. He's not supposed to engage. So he just stands there as Noel continues his acceptance speech, then walks off stage when it's over. But the damage was done. Millions of people just watched Noel Gallagher call Michael Hutchence a has-been on live television. Here's the thing about Noel's insult. It wasn't entirely unprovoked. There was backstage drama that led to that moment. According to multiple sources, Liam Gallagher and Michael Hutchence had gotten into an argument backstage before the ceremony. The reason? Liam had said something insulting about Paula Yates, Michael's girlfriend. Paula was a controversial figure in Britain at the time. She'd left Bob Geldof, a beloved figure in British culture, for Michael. The tabloids portrayed her as a homewrecker. She was constantly attacked in the press.
Liam, who was dating Patsy Kensit at the time, who had previously been linked to Michael, apparently made a crude comment about Paula. Michael confronted him. Words were exchanged, tensions were high. When Noel went on stage and made his has-been comment, it was continuing the feud that Liam had started backstage. But that doesn't make it any less brutal. Noel chose to make a private argument public. He chose to humiliate Michael in front of millions of people, and he did it with precision. Calling INXS has-beens while calling Oasis gonnabes was clever wordplay that made the insult even sharper. After the ceremony, British tabloids went crazy with the story. Headlines screamed about Noel's insult. Music journalists debated whether he'd gone too far or if it was just typical Oasis behavior. Some defended Noel. He's just being honest, they said. INXS is past their prime and everyone knows it. Noel said what everyone was thinking. Others thought it was cruel and unnecessary. Michael Hutchence is a legend, they argued. He's sold 50 million albums. He's won 5 MTV Video Music Awards in one night. Oasis hasn't done half of what INXS accomplished. Show some respect.
Michael Hutchence didn't publicly respond to the insult. He didn't give angry interviews. He didn't fire back on television. He took the high road and stayed silent. But people who knew Michael said it bothered him a lot. Michael was already struggling in 1996. His brain injury from 1992 had changed his personality. His depression was worsening. The custody battle with Bob Geldof was consuming him emotionally. He was mixing alcohol with Prozac. And now one of Britain's biggest rock stars had publicly called him a has-been on television. Friends said Michael internalized the insult. It confirmed his worst fears, that the world saw him as irrelevant, that his best years were behind him, that he was fading into obscurity. Whether Noel Gallagher knew how much his words would hurt Michael, we can't say, but they hurt. Here's where the story gets darkly ironic. Noel Gallagher called INXS has-beens and Oasis gonnabes in February 1996. 20 months later, in November 1997, Michael Hutchence was dead. And Oasis? They never reached the heights Noel predicted. Yes, Oasis had massive success through the late 1990s. What's the Story, Morning Glory became one of the best-selling albums in British history. Wonderwall became a generational anthem. They sold out stadiums. But they never conquered America the way INXS had. They never had a #1 hit in the United States. They never sold 10 million copies of a single album in America. They never won 5 MTV Video Music Awards in one night. And by August 2009, Oasis had broken up. Noel and Liam's constant fighting destroyed the band. They haven't reunited since. Their legacy is complicated by their inability to stay together. Meanwhile, INXS's legacy remains intact. Kick is still considered one of the great rock albums of the 1980s. Never Tear Us Apart is timeless. Michael Hutchence is remembered as one of the greatest frontmen in rock history. So who was the has-been and who was the gonna be? The irony is brutal. After Michael died in November 1997, journalists brought up Noel's 1996 insult. They asked if he regretted it. They asked if he felt bad given what happened to Michael. Noel Gallagher has never publicly apologized. He's never said he regrets the comment. When asked about it in interviews, he typically deflects or changes the subject. Some people think Noel should have apologized, that when someone dies, especially in tragic circumstances, you should express regret for cruel things you said to them while they were alive. Others argue that Noel didn't kill Michael. His comment didn't cause Michael's death. Michael was struggling with serious issues that had nothing to do with Noel Gallagher's opinion of INXS's commercial relevance. Both things can be true. Noel's comment didn't cause Michael's death, but it was still unnecessarily cruel, and given what happened less than 2 years later, it looks even worse in hindsight. In the years since, people have debated the has-been comment endlessly. Music forums, YouTube comment sections, Reddit threads, everyone has an opinion. Some defend Noel. He was just being honest. INXS was past their prime. Rock stars talk trash all the time. People are too sensitive. Others condemn him. It was disrespectful. Michael Hutchence achieved more than Oasis ever did. Noel was arrogant and cruel for no reason. He should have shown respect. And some take a middle position. It was vintage Oasis behavior. Noel and Liam talked trash about everyone. It wasn't personal, they were just being provocative. But it aged poorly given what happened to Michael. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. Noel Gallagher was playing a character, the brash, loudmouth Britpop star who didn't care what anyone thought. The insult was part of the Oasis brand. But brands can hurt real people, and Michael Hutchence was a real person who was already struggling. The public humiliation didn't help. Watching that BRIT Awards footage now, knowing what happened to Michael less than 2 years later is uncomfortable. You see Michael's face when Noel says has-beens. You see the momentary hurt before he recovers his composure. You think about what Michael was dealing with at that time, the brain injury, the depression, the custody battle, the sense that his career was fading, the constant pressure to stay relevant in a changing music landscape. And then Noel Gallagher, young, cocky, on top of the world, calls him a has-been on live television in front of millions of people. It's a snapshot of how brutal the music industry can be, how quickly you go from icon to irrelevant, how people will publicly mock you when you're down. Michael Hutchence handled it with grace. He didn't lash out, he didn't retaliate, he just moved on. But it must have stung, deeply. Today, if you ask music fans who Michael Hutchence was, most people know. The frontman of INXS, Never Tear Us Apart, Need You Tonight, one of the great rock stars of the 1980s and early 1990s. If you ask who Noel Gallagher is, most people know that too. The songwriter from Oasis, Wonderwall, Don't Look Back in Anger, the guy who feuded with his brother and broke up the band. Both are remembered, both left legacies. But only one of them called the other a has-been on television, and only one of them died less than 2 years later at age 37. The 1996 BRIT Awards footage lives on YouTube. You can watch it anytime. Michael handing Noel the award, Noel making the insult, Michael's reaction. It's a reminder that words matter, that public humiliation hurts, even when it's disguised as rock and roll swagger. That the people we mock are human beings dealing with struggles we don't see. Noel Gallagher probably didn't think much about that comment at the time. It was just another provocative statement from a rock star known for provocative statements. But for Michael Hutchence, already struggling with so much, it was one more painful reminder that the world saw him as fading, as past his prime, as a has-been. And 20 months later, Michael was gone. The irony of Noel Gallagher calling Oasis gonnabes is that they never became what he predicted. They were huge in Britain, but never conquered the world the way INXS had. They broke up in acrimony. Their legacy is great, but it's not greater than INXS. Meanwhile, INXS's music endures. Never Tear Us Apart is still played at weddings. Need You Tonight still gets radio airtime. Michael Hutchence is still studied by aspiring frontmen as an example of peak charisma and stage presence. So who were the has-beens and who were the gonnabes? History has given us the answer, and it's not the answer Noel Gallagher probably expected when he grabbed that microphone in 1996. If this story moved you, please subscribe and hit that like button. Share this with someone who needs to understand that words can hurt even when they're spoken as jokes. Have you ever been publicly humiliated? How did you handle it? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to ring that notification bell for more stories about the moments that reveal who we really are.